What's up, everyone, and welcome back to HBCU Game Day. This is the HBCU NFL Report, where we keep you guys updated on some of your favorite Black college football stars in the pros. As always, I am Symone, joined by Lute. And this week, we have NFL football. This year, we have 31 HBCU players on NFL rosters. That's up 9 from last season. Lute, what an accomplishment.
Yeah, absolutely, Symone. And the big thing is, everybody that was in camp, if they weren't injured, made a team. I think that's the difference in this year and previous years. We've had 30 or more in camps, but when they cut down, even including practice squad players, it's been lower. And this is the first year in quite some time. I haven't gone back to check, but for the last 20 years, I don't remember the numbers going up from one year to the next. But this year we have 19 guys that are on 53-man opening day rosters. We have 10 that are on practice squads, and we have 2 that have some form of some kind of injury that has kept them out. Brandon Parker out of North Carolina A&T is out for the season with torn triceps. He plays for the Las Vegas Raiders. And then Antonio Hamilton of Arizona had a cooking accident at home, and he's been put on the injured non-football related injury list. He's going to miss at least 4 games. He was actually slated to start this year for the Cardinals. He's having his best camp, they said, since he's been in the league. He's been in the league 7 years. So, yeah, we've got 31 guys. This is a positive trend, you'd have to say, because the numbers are up, not by 1 or by 2, but by 9. And that includes the 4 rookies, 3 of them that were drafted, 3 of them that are on active day rosters, 1 that's on a practice squad, as well as 2 undrafted rookies that we'll get a chance to talk about a little later.
So, Lou, we had 2 players that we talked about last week that were waived before the initial 53-man roster cut down. That was cornerback Matt McCain, who I don't think is a veteran. You think is a veteran. We actually had somebody in the comments agree with me, Lou. So I'm up 1-up. But Matt McCain signed to the Eagles practice squad, and then James Houston out of Jackson State University signed to the Lions practice squad. So that's 2 guys we talked about last week that are now on practice squads.
And we thought that they would probably stay around. Obviously, Houston was drafted. Mac McCain has spent a year in the league. That's why I'm telling you and whoever told you on your comments that they were not a veteran. They are a veteran once you've been in the league 1 year. You're a veteran. So the 2 of them were signed back as well. I think we talked last week that Darrell Johnson of North Carolina A&T, defensive end, started at Buffalo for 2 years, was with Carolina last year. He was cut and was picked up almost immediately by Seattle. So, that's what I said. This year, that's very unusual when all of the HBCU players that are in the league that were in camp actually get signed either to practice squads or to active rosters.
Lou, time and time again on this channel, we have Bulldogs fans say, y'all don't give South Carolina State enough love. Y'all don't give South Carolina State enough love, even though we do, but sometimes we do slack a little bit. But, Lou, we got to sing the praises of the Bulldogs, sing the praises of Buddy Pugh. South Carolina State University has 7 players in the NFL. The closest team is North Carolina A&T with 3. That's 4 more players than the closest team. South Carolina State is a pipeline. Am I getting ahead of myself when I say a pipeline?
No, because they've been amongst the leaders for the last several years. They've been right there at 4 and 3 and 5 sometimes, but 7 is probably the highest it's been in quite some time. And we're talking about a time, you go back when there used to be 13 or 14 players from the HBCU ranks. If you go back to the late 60s, the early 70s, there were 13 and 12 players on just one team. We're talking about 31 league-wide, including practice squads. So this is a good trend. Everybody was all down on HBCUs behind only 1 player being drafted 1 year, and the next year, no players being drafted. But now, to see these numbers go up is very encouraging. And I would think that that's one of the things, for example, that Coach Prime Sanders has been talking about. We're not just trying to win, but we're trying to get guys to become pros. He says on or off the field, but we know he means primarily guys with talent that will find their way into the NFL like they used to be from the HBCU ranks.
Yes. So, Luke, like I said, this Thursday, we have NFL football. Both of us love to watch some football, especially the NFL. We have to talk about some players that we are looking out for this week. We have some players with new names. We've got a bunch of new drafted players. We have some undrafted free agent rookies on rosters. And we also have some veterans that are now on new teams. Who are you looking out for, HBCU to NFL-wise?
Well, I thought about trying to figure out one player. I'm a Steelers fan, so I'm really looking to see what Mitch Trubisky is going to do as the starter for the Steelers. How long are we going to use him before we go to Pickett? I like him a lot better. But the real deal is what I'm actually interested in is to see how much these teams coming this week use these rookies. How much does Jacoby Durant get into the game for Kansas, for the LA Rams when they open on Thursday against Buffalo? That's the first game of the season. How much does Joshua Williams get in for the Kansas City Chiefs when they play Arizona late on Sunday afternoon? How much does Deshaun Jackson out of Norfolk State, undrafted free agent? They play Washington on Sunday at 1 p.m. And finally, Markquese Bell, who probably got as much pub in the preseason as any undrafted rookie, certainly from the HBCU ranks, has ever gotten. What is he going to do when on Sunday night he takes on Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Bucks? And the question is not what is he going to do. The question is, I want to know, how much do the Cowboys believe in him? How many snaps will he play? And we'll be tracking that as the season goes along on a game by game basis, how much any of these guys are getting on the field. What about you? Who are you keeping your eye on?
So you brought up your Steelers, so I have to bring up my Philadelphia Eagles, and in particular, Javon Hargrave, defensive lineman for us, former South Carolina State Bulldog. Javon Hargrave signed a 3-year contract with the Eagles from your Steelers. Thank you for that. Great gift. We're enjoying him.
We'll take him back, too.
We'll see. Y'all might, because Javon is going to be an undrafted free agent next season. So this is what you call a contract year for him. He has had a great time in Philly. He had a great time in Pittsburgh as well. So there's no doubt that somebody's going to sign Javon to a long-term deal. But I want it to be my Philadelphia Eagles. So I'm going to be looking out for him week 1. We play the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions have they got 2 good running backs in Jamal Williams and DeAndre Swift. So stopping the running game is going to be important. And I'm going to be looking out for Javon Hargrave. I'm going to say it, 2 sacks. I mean, it's Jared Goff,
Yeah, well, no, Javon is a guy I love. When he was at South Carolina State, you talked about Buddy Pugh and the program that Buddy Pugh is running. Most of the guys in the NFL have been on the defensive side. This is the school that produced Harry Carson, produced Donnie Shell, both pro football Hall of Famers. They now have Shaquille Leonard. They have Javon Hargrave. They have Jacoby Durant. They have Joe Thomas, the 7-year veteran that was retained. I thought he would make the 53-man roster, but they actually put him on the practice squad in Chicago. Joe Thomas is a baller. And how about this? 2-time MEAC Defensive Players of the Year in a row. Joe Thomas for 2 years, Javon Hargrave for 2 years, Shaquille Leonard for 2 years, and then Kobe Durant. 7 years that they had in the last 9 years, I think it is, they've had the Defensive Player of the Year in the MEAC. So, they don't just put them out to be good as Bulldogs and win in the MEAC, but these are guys that go on to the NFL. Hamilton, we mentioned earlier, is also one of them. And they even have a couple of linemen. Alex Taylor, who is with he's on the practice squad for the Cleveland Browns. And the other guy's name is Rashad Perry, who's a defensive tackle who went to South Carolina State, did his final year in Illinois, but he played 3 years at South Carolina State, was an all MEAC player for South Carolina State. So no, Buddy Pugh definitely has a pipeline. If you want to get to the NFL right now, going to South Carolina State is a quicker and better route than going to Jackson State. Oh. I don't know how long that's going to last, but that's certainly what the track record says right now. Look like you were shocked at that. But look, the numbers tell you there's one guy from Jackson State, James Houston. You go back years ago, you had the Lem Barneys and the Walter Paytons and the Robert Brazils and the Jackie Slaters and a whole list of others, Harold Jackson and others. But right now, South Carolina State is the place to go if you want to get to the NFL.
The Pew Pipeline. Hashtag Pew Pipeline.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We got to talk to him. Maybe we could trademark that, you know, well, something. We'll see. But I like that, the Pew Pipeline. But, guys, this week we have NFL football, and make sure you are staying tuned in to the HBCU NFL report, where me and Lute are going to keep you guys updated on your favorite Black college football stars in the pros. I am Symone Stanley, and this is HBCU Game Day. Thank you guys so much for joining us.